Morning, guys. Welcome to Words from a Friend podcast. I'm your host, Marty Carey, and this is the podcast that follows my book, Words from a Friend, a daily guide to a purposeful life. It's available at Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. We're on a 365-day inner journey together, so happy and grateful to have you along. We are on the February 29th message. It was a leap year when my book was published, so we're getting the February 29th when it's really the 28th. Tomorrow's March 1st. So here you go. Here's a good extra message this year. Okay, it's fear is just a feeling. Fear is just a feeling. Well, we all know that one. Fear is the Mac Daddy of all emotions, and it keeps us from moving forward in all areas of our lives. It's a stuck energy. It's an energy that can immobilize us with no faith, not knowing what to do, just immobilizes us. And we can unstick ourselves from that when we realize that fear is just a feeling. There's a book out there called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. I had that one. That was a great one. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Well, that's what we have to do in order to grow in every area of our life. Everything we want is on the other side of that fear. So if you want something, you're going to have to pay the ticket, man, which is just saying, no fear. I hear you. I even feel you. But I believe. I believe in myself, my higher self. My higher self's going to get me there. Absolutely. If I can see it, my higher self can get me there. So that's my personal knowing. And I hold on to that. That's the rock. That's the rock of faith. That's the rock of faith. Faith over fear. God over everything, which means the light over everything, which means the truth over everything. The truth over everything, whatever that may be. A great looking truth or an ugly truth. We have to figure that out. And with the ugly truths, we can alchemize into the real truth, the golden truth, the oneness of all that is that truth. And we are a big cup of it. And I say it every day. We're a big cup of truth. And when we don't live in it, we're out of alignment with that truth. Well, we're kind of all over the place. We have sand as our foundation. It's just always falling from underneath us, right? Because we haven't grounded ourselves in the truth of the light and the light of the truth. We haven't grounded ourselves in it. We haven't embodied it. We say we know it. We say we believe in it. But we don't live in it. It's kind of an ethereal thing. It's outside of us. God is outside of us. No. That's your power inside. That's your actual power inside is your light. If you can hear that, that's my wife making her protein shake. Oh, yes, that's it. That's it, honey. Stay healthy up there. So fear is it's a small voice when we make it small. It's like that's how we make our mountains, and we squeeze them back into our molehills. We squeeze them down into little molehills by proving them wrong. Proving them wrong in our thoughts, our words, and our actions. Saying, I can overcome this fear. I can overcome it because I am the light. It's not like I'm waiting for the light to show up. I'm it. And when you align with that truth and you begin that journey and those baby steps of getting up again, of those baby steps of having those can-do muscles grow, those muscles of faith grow, well, there's the journey. That's the journey back home to remembering yourself. And the more you remember yourself, the more of your power you have to overcome everything, overcome it all, because so much of it is just an illusion of you can't. That's the illusion, that you can't. The truth is you can. Light is always I can, expansive energy. Fear constricts us. You know that to be true. Constricts us. It makes us tight, makes us want to be, oh man, it's either fight or flight. And, when I'm in fear, it's one or the other. But you have another power in there. Fear is not a power. Fear is, it can be used like that to get you going as a motivator for sure. For sure. It's like, the fire on your ass. You got to get going. And wolves are biting on your tail, right? Yeah, but it's a starter. But that's not the energy to ride for success. It is, I see you, fear. I feel you. But my faith is greater. My faith is greater because God has shown me through my experiences that I can. And I have. So I look back upon those experiences and says, well, I've done it before. I can do it again. And this time I'm going to do it better because I'm doing it with having come through those tunnels so many times. Okay? And you have too. You have too, so you got to recognize that. You got to recognize that you've been through so much and you got through it. And it may have been terribly ugly. And you want to start a new section, a new chapter for your life in a whole different way. Just in a whole different energy, in the energy of just being who you are, loving who that is, and moving forward with God and what God thinks about you, says about you in that beautiful light of yours. In that beautiful light of yours. It doesn't get any better than that. It doesn't get any better than that you. That part of you. That cup of God. That's your eternal, loving, ever-loving self. Okay? All right, fear's the Mac Daddy, especially fear of the unknown. Well, because we're always moving into the unknown. We're always moving into the unknown. We can stay, comfortable in sameness, but after a while, that's just kind of can suck the life out of you too. You want new things. You want new challenges for yourself, for the talents that you've grown. You want to rise in the talents that God has given you, and those talents that He's given you are meant for you to grow, water, nurture, pursue, and grow and share. Most of all, share. So, you share it right from the beginning because people can see you starting out clunky and then growing. They can see you grow. They can see you becoming more of yourself in it, having fun in being yourself and saying, yeah, okay, finally I'm comfortable in who I am. And I don't care what anybody thinks. I really don't. The people that are meant to be in my circle and appreciate me for who I am will be there. And I will be in theirs, right? Because the vibe is that vibe of up there is the best place to live, right? And give from and help others to see their way up. Help others to see their way up. It's like passing the baton. I look back on my history, my family history, and there's been many beautiful batons passed down. And it's our job not to grab the ones that hurt, but to grab the ones that help and say, I'm riding my life, I'm running with this baton that my mom and my dad passed me, those good parts, and saying, yeah, man, those are awesome parts. I will focus on those. I'll focus on those gifts, that gold they left me, and I'm going to grow it. I'm going to grow it exponentially by sharing it with others. That's how you do it. If you bury your talents, nobody ever gets to see them. And fear keeps us there. Fear keeps us from showing our talents because we're scared to show that weird, quirky self or whatever that is. But I can tell you, look around. Everybody falls into some slot, don't they, that they love? And there's millions of them out there. Millions of things to do, be, and have in the good way, in the high way, in the higher way. So that's like artists. Artists, they just love creating in any medium, in any way possible, expressing their soul in many different ways. Express your soul in whatever you do. Put that soul into whatever you do, and then express it, and it'll be gold. It's your gold. Okay? Don't be afraid to share that gold. Let's see. Most people will trade an amazing life experience for stagnation and, just kind of fly in mediocre town when there's so much more in them and in you. Okay? You don't have to settle. Don't settle. And don't settle in relationships either. Be selective. It's okay to be selective. In fact, it's mandatory these days, isn't it? Selectivity. Better to be in your own good, positive energy that you've worked on so hard than to be in a relationship that pulls you down. That's what happens. Everybody's got to level up to what they really want to have in their life, and the air gets a little thinner when you're walking a path of light sometimes. But don't worry about that. It's going to attract to you exactly what you want and need the most. Okay? That's it. You're a magnet for what you give. Remember that always. Positive or negative, you're a magnet for it. Which one you want to be. It's just a daily choice. Fear or love. Fear or courage. Courage is not absence of fear. Courage is feeling the fear and doing it anyway. That's true courage. Okay? I had to do that many times in my life with anxiety. God, I remember when they decided to have me as manager of the Old Daily. I left the insurance business. I went into be the manager, and all these people were my friends, and it's like, manage them. Oh my God, I got to act like I'm a boss. I'm going to be a helper the best I can. And that was my management style, right? Not always the right one, some people say in business, but these are my pals, you know. At any rate, when that was announced, they had a big meeting in one of the sections of the restaurant. I went in and I had a panic attack inside. I had to take a seat. My partner, Jimmy, was there announcing it, and I looked at him with a gaze in my eyes, and he knew, because he knew I could be anxious about stuff like that. And I was like, I just need a chair. I grabbed the chair and sat down. Jimmy goes, what? I could see in his face, what the hell's going on? And he goes, and he kept talking. He saved the day for me. And he, kind of got me out of that. And then I just went about doing what I do. But announcing that was a big fear for me. It was terrible. But then, look where it brought me. Look where it brought me. On a beautiful journey that I'm still on. It did. Once I left the insurance business, it was like I felt like I was freed from a cage, freed from a cage that I agreed to. But like I said, even there, I have beautiful memories and had a great time and gained a lot of life experience on how to talk to people. And I was a salesman, so I didn't like selling insurance. I don't like being salesy. I just like being, and insurance is one of those things that you need, but you don't really want to see the guy. Sorry, insurance friends. It's just like a necessity that it's like we didn't have to have, but in this world, it's what you got to have. But God is your biggest insurance policy, always. Fear is no way. Don't take that policy out. No, cancel that policy immediately. All right, let's see. The best acronym I've ever heard for fear is false evidence appearing real. False evidence, F-E-A-R, false evidence appearing real. It is true when I do not question this. This is true when we do not question the scary scenarios we create in our heads as to what might happen. Our ego always wants to create the worst case scenario. Worst case. So we prepare ourselves for the worst all the time. Right? Well, you can be prepared for the worst, but man, you got to work in the best energy. It's different than preparing for the worst. It's saying, God's got me. God's got me, no matter what this is, and I have to bring my best self to this. Is my best self fearful? No, it is not. My best self is being a light, putting my light in the circle and say, okay, I'm not sure how we're going to do this, but we're going to do this, and we're going to get our heads on straight, and we're going to get this thing done. And that's it. Fear, one of the fastest things is to take action in the other direction of what that fear is saying. Faith is can do. Faith is let's do. We're not quitting here. This is not a quitting time. This is giddy up. Giddy up. Fear is constriction. Can't do. The opposite of that is who you really are. The opposite of that is who you really are. In all of eternity, you go to the other side, there is no fear. No fear. No, because God doesn't give it to us. God is unconditional loving energy. Unconditional. Okay? Whatever we do in this crazy place. But when we come back to that knowing, why would we live the false way? Why would we? We realize we're destroying ourselves in so many different ways. We self-sabotage every time we're stuck in fear. We're not understanding who we are. We're not recognizing in the mirror that there's a person there that can do this thing. It is going to get through this thing. Look what you've gotten through. You didn't think you were going to get through. A million things. But you did. So now it's time you take that up in a confidence level of what got you through that. Your ego didn't get you through that. Your ego was the static in all of it. Fear was the static in all of it. Faith was the rock. Light was the rock. Can do. Have to do. So I might as well bring my best to it. Do. That is the best way. That's the best way to ride. In your own favor and in favor of whatever's going on around you. Okay? You're your own superhero. You got to move into that place inside when fear wants to trigger you right away. You go, oh, no, right then and there. Nippy nippers. Get your nippers out. We're going to nip that in the bud, that fear thought. And we're going to say, nope, now I remember who I am. I can do. I may not know how right away, but I'm going to start taking actions toward that, make a few calls, tell my friend, whatever that may be, in a calm way, hey, here's what's going on. What do you think about this? When you know that there's somebody that you can trust and who is a good person to give you advice. Always recognize who you're taking advice from, though. Always. How do they walk? How do they live their life? How do they How do they think? Is it always worst case scenario? And, you've got to remember who you're taking your advice from. That's the thing. Consider the source. Always consider the source. Somebody that you really understand that's been through the shit, and they've come out the other side, and they love and they understand that it's not about being bitter. It's not about revenge. It's not about any of that stuff. It's about leaving old selves in favor of new selves, new ways, the higher way forward, the higher road, inside. Okay, fear will tell you, don't even bother. Fear will tell you, you'll never get there. What are you wasting your... There's no such thing. No such thing as your higher self or your soul, whatever that is. That is the false voice. That is the voice of self-destruction. Okay? All right. This is true when we do not question the scary scenarios in our head, what might happen, instead of believing in ourselves, in our true and limited nature and ability to succeed. We are meant to succeed. God is for us. For us. The biggest cheerleader there is the energy that you are in eternity. The biggest cheerleader of I want to know. God wants to know what life is like through you, through your personal perception. He's living through you in your life. Okay? So you're not getting away with anything. He sees everything, your thoughts before you think them. So give God a good ride. Say yes to God. Show God a great, wonderful rise. That's the best ride, to have God along for and with your co-pilot, your co-creator, your advisor of the highest way. It's in your heart. You got to learn to listen, and you got to learn to get quiet, and you got to learn to tune out the noise of the world, because it's all fear out there. It is just the last wave and they're just going to keep throwing fear upon story upon story, just to keep your attention, and all of the destruction of all of it, okay? It's fallen down. It's an old relationship that's meant to fall down. It's an old agreement between all of us where we are not meant to hate each other. No, God, that's just stupid. That's stupidity, el stupido, that we hate each other. That's stupid. So we have to stop agreeing with that. And all of the production that they put on social media and on TV to keep us there. That's the Matrix. The Matrix is keeping us in low energy so that we can be controlled by fear. Okay? We leave that in ourselves. There's no controlling us. We only want light for ourselves and others when we know the truth. So when we come to that and we share that knowing, it's like, I don't want any trouble with anybody. Right? Why would I want that? When I can go outside and experience God's world in a completely different way, when we can experience God's world in a completely different way, we can change this place just by a new agreement. Just by a new agreement. It has to start with yourself. You got to agree to God's way. It's the brightest way forward anyway, so it would be ridiculous to say no to love. I would just say no to love when hate is so heavy, when worry is so heavy, when fear is so constricting. It's all of those things that you're giving up when you say yes to God. It's all of those things you're giving up when you build your faith muscles. It's all of those lower, heavy sandbags that we talk about. All right. I'm talking about that inner liar that tells us we don't have what it takes. That's the lie. The way out of the trap of fear is to consistently challenge this liar in our heads and go forward with faith and confidence. Remember, if you're brought to it, God will see you through it, even if it takes a little longer than your ego thinks it should, because your ego impatience lives in the ego. Impatience, that's another Mac Daddy, is impatience. I'm a pretty impatient person too. I can be impatient because I see things that I want to accomplish, and, don't always have the time to do it, but if I want other people to help, I have to be cognizant that they have their own stuff that takes little time too. So you can be a hard charger, and impatience can be part of the issue. You got to work as diligently as you can, as mindfully as you can, and as centered as you can to get the best results. Okay? Don't get yourself all crazed up. Remember, if you're brought to it, God will see you through it, but we have to do it for ourselves in order to deny the liar and realize the truth. That's the inner battle, isn't it? It is not light over darkness. For here, we just got to recognize the darkness as the contrast to the truth, so we can read ourselves better. What is that? Is that a jealous thought I just had? Why am I jealous of that person? What do they have that I don't have? They may have more money. They may have a nicer car. Who cares? I love who I am. I don't need that. I don't need it to be happy with who I am. I don't need it to be happy with who I am. I like doing things that challenge that are challenging creatively to see if I can. And those are the things that you should pursue with a smile on your face. Let's see if I can do it. That's the curiosity of life. That's the juice that helps you to create something that's never been created before. Remember, you're an artist. You're a life artist. And you got to recognize which paintbrushes you're wielding every day so that you start painting purposefully, intentionally. The brush strokes are intentional. They're not just haphazard with whatever emotion happens to grab you at the time. Whatever old trigger wants to pull you back down into an old self that you no longer want to walk in. Okay? That's our daily challenge. But when you're walking in the light, after a while, they're just like, pew, pew, pew. I'm not jealous, not envious. I'm walking my own path. That's what I want to do. That's why I'm here to create my own path. I get to. I'm not going to give that up to anybody. No, you don't. Don't give that up to anybody. Take people along with you. If it's good enough, and if they want to walk in that same direction, hop on board. Let's share our light, share our journey, and have a great time while we're here in the physical plane, as best we can, with what we have from where we are. Today's CTA, you are not a victim, but a victor. God is the victorious energy. The unconditionally loving can-do energy. That's victorious energy. The ego is victim energy. I don't know how. Nobody's here for me. I'm self-pity town and martyrdom all the time. Nobody knows all of this stuff. Blah. Blah. Take yourself out of it. Save yourself. Take yourself out of that. Tame that voice and put your ego, your soul up front. Put your soul up front. Let that take charge of your life. It's a much brighter path. So today, push yourself to do or say things you need in order to get to the next exciting level of your own life. Leveling up is just humble honesty a lot of times. It doesn't have to be any big hoopla. It's just this is where I want to go. Okay? This is what I'm going to do. This is my plan, and you may not see it. You may not see what I see. Right? You may not see what I see. And that's okay. You see it. You see it for yourself. Then you need to do it. You need to do it. And fear, it's going to want to pop its ugly little punxsutawney Phil head out of there. Didn't see the shadow. Whatever that was. Whatever means more winter. You gotta be willing to really change course in the way that really serves you and really serves others. And so whatever you create is a gift. Right? Because remember, you're the gift. You're God's gift. If you align with God, your gift's just going to get brighter and brighter in every area of your life. As a husband, as a father, as friends, as creative partners, in every way. Choose it. We are choice makers. Never forget that. We choose our day, how the day is going to go. We do not let our days choose how we are going to react. That's a difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is like our default pattern for the ego. It's whatever we just did before. It's like a bunch of old cells put together just to react the same way anytime anything unsavory comes their way. It's just the same old way. It may have worked for you in the past, but it's just so seen now as, all right, you don't have control of yourself. And it's all right, we all lose control of ourselves. But for ourselves, and I'm talking to you about yourself, what do you want for yourself? How do you want to feel inside? How do you want your default setting to be? Our default setting is what the world has fed us, usually, which is just buzzing down around, around here, just like, normal town. When God says, oh my God, there's so much more in here. Whoop! Raising that frequency, raising your possibilities, raising your magnetism for bigger and better opportunities, and raising the confidence to tackle those bigger opportunities is all held within I Can energy. And that is God energy. That's the Christ consciousness. And we're rising into it, and we're seeing ourselves differently these days. So go with it. Go with the flow of the goodness that is in there, behind all the ugliness that we see. The light already won. The light has already won, because the light is the light. The light is truth. So truth always wins in the end. And its truth is taking us to a bigger place as a family. So much love and light, my friends, and connect in that place with everybody around you today. Connect in that place every day, and you shall see that life is truly a gift when you bring your gift to it. Much love, my friends. Have a great day, and we shall see you tomorrow.